Okay, good morning, everyone. It's 8 o'clock and I'm going to call the October 10th Finance Committee meeting to order. Physical quorum of the members are physically present. I'll entertain a motion to permit those members not physically present due to personal illness or disability, employment purposes, or for the business of the board or family or other emergency to participate by video or teleconference. Do I have a motion? Motion by member Tornatori, second by member Zay. All in favor? Okay, any opposed? Okay, can I have a roll call, please?
Member Cahill. Here. Member Chaplin.
Here.
Member Childress. Member Covert. Member Desart.
Here.
Member Eckhoff. Member Evans.
Here.
Member Galassi. Member Garcia.
Here.
Member Guston. Here. Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante. Member Ozog. Member Rutledge. Member Shorzy. Member Tornator. Member Yu.
Here.
Member Zay.
Okay, we have a quorum. Can I have a motion to approve the Finance Committee meeting minutes from September 26th? Who made that motion? I'm sorry. Motion by member Rutledge, second by member Guston. Any changes to the minutes? Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. We move on to budget transfers. Can I have a motion on FIR 023523 budget transfers 101023 from various companies and accounting units? Motion by member Ozog, second by member Yu. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We move on to procurement requisitions. I'll call on member Zay for finance.
Morning, Madam Chairman. I move on FIP 1723, recommendation of approval of contract issued to Rock Fusco and Connolly to provide consultation services related to collective bargaining matters from December 1st, 2023 through November 30th, 2024 for a contract not to exceed $150,000.
I have a motion by member Zay, a second by member Desart. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Zay. We move on to development. Member Tornatori.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCP 17-23, a recommendation for the approval of the contract to Sell Inc. for annual subscription services for Colosimo software integration between the Sell online permitting software and Blue Bean plan review software for a period December 1, 2023 through November 30th, 2024 for a contract total amount not to exceed $30,618.
I have a motion by member Tornatori, a second by member Guston. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, member Tornatori. We
Sure.
move on to human services, member Shorzy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on item 23-3192 HHSP 0327A22 amendment to resolution HHSP 032722 issued to Air Gas USA LLC to furnish and deliver portable oxygen for the residents at the DuPage Care Center for the period December 1st, 22 through November 30th of 23 to increase encumbrance in the amount of $7,500, a 21.43% increase.
I have a motion by member Zay, a second by member Desart. Any discussion?
Motion by member Schwartz.
Oh, I'm sorry, member Shorzy. You guys are all blending back there this morning. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Shorzy.
Thank you. I move on item 23-3193 HSP 54A23 amendment to resolution HSP 5423 issued to Maximum Healthcare Services to provide supplemental nursing staffing service for the DuPage Care Center for the period of April 13th of 23 through April 12th of 24 to increase encumbrance in the amount of $95,410, a 79.51% increase.
Do I have a second? Motion by member Shorzy, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Shorzy.
Thank you. I move on HSP 7023, a recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to DuPage Federation on Human Services Reform to provide telephonic and face-to-face interpretation, American Sign Language and translation services to the Community Services Department for the period October 11, 23 through October 10th of 24 for a total contract amount not to exceed $38,000.
Have a motion by member Zay, a second by member Desart. Or members, I'm sorry, member Shorzy. I don't know. I call you member Zay this morning. Motion by member Shorzy, second by member Desart. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move on HSP 7123, a recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Medline Industries, Inc. to furnish and deliver surgical face masks for the DuPage Care Center for the period October 11, 23 through October 10th of 24, for a contract total not to exceed $68,830.43. Contract pursuant to the Intergovernmental Cooperation Act.
Motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Cahill. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move on HSR 6023, amendment to purchase order 60330001, serve issued to Healthy Air Heating and Air Inc. to provide architectural weatherization labor and materials for community services weatherization program to increase the contract in the amount of $192,000 for a new contract amount of $677,534.70.
Motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Yu. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. Finally, I move on HSR 6123, approval of issuance of payments by DuPage County to energy assistance providers through the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, HHS Supplemental Grant, Plan Year 23 Intergovernmental Agreement number 23274028 in the amount of $558,817.
I have a motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Schwarzy. We move on to judicial public safety, member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move to approve JPSP 006523, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Axon Enterprise, Inc. for the purchase of Officer Safety Plan 10 Premium to allow for upgraded taser devices for the sheriff's office for a contract total amount not to exceed $3,400,000.
Motion by member Evans, second by member Desart. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move to approve JPSP 006623, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Axon Enterprise, Inc. for the purchase of the Fleet 3 system to provide updated technology in all patrol and prisoner transport vehicles for the sheriff's office for a contract total not to exceed $1,515,000.
I have a motion by member Evans, a second by member Cahill. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Evans. We move on to Public Works. Member Garcia, did you want to take this or did you want me to pass it on?
I'm not sure my voice is gonna work, so if you could have Vice Chair do it today.
Okay, thank you. Member Ozag?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval of FMP 008323, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Kubler Incorporated to provide professional architectural and engineering design services for the number 2 boiler burner replacement at the power plant, add a new heat exchanger at the JOF building, replace the utility tunnel exhaust fans for the power plant, replace 4 air supply units at the power plant, and construction administration for the JTK HVAC replacement project for facilities management for the period of October 10th, 2023 through November 30th, 2025, for a total contract amount not to exceed $199,125. Professional services vetted through qualification-based selection process.
I have a motion by member Ozak, second by member Desart. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Ozak. We move on to technology. Member Yu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on item TEP 006623, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Cyber Risk Alliance LLC for membership in the Cybersecurity Collaborative through the National Association of Counties for Information Technology. This contract covers the period of November 24, 2023, to November 23, 2026, for a contract total amount of $34,999.
I have a motion by member Yu, second by member Cahill. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Yu. We move on to transportation and member Ozag.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. I move for approval of 233059 amendment to resolution TEP 041821 issued to AT&T Mobility for cellular and wireless services for the various departments of the County of DuPage to increase and encumbrance the amount of $60,000 for the Division of Transportation, resulting in an amended contract amount of $1,127,950, an increase of 5.62%.
Motion by member Ozak, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Ozak.
Thank you. I move for approval of item 233164, amendment to DTR 029821, agreement between the County of DuPage, State of Illinois Department of Transportation, and Chicago, St. Paul and Pacific Railroad LLC, doing business as Progressive Rail Incorporated for railroad crossing improvements along York Road between Seavert Court and Foster Avenue to increase the federal, state, and railroad cost participation.
Motion by member Ozak, second by member Yu. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Ozak.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTP 009823. Recommendation for the approval of an agreement to Leach, Tishman, Volscato, and Lample LLC to provide professional legal services to negotiate highway authority benefit agreement applications as needed for the Department of Transportation for the period December 1st, 2023 through November 30th, 2025 for an agreement total not to exceed $80,000, appointed as special state's attorney by the DuPage County State's Attorney pursuant to DuPage County Procurement Ordinance 2356.
Motion by member Ozak, second by member Cahill. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Ozak.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTP 009923. Recommendation for the approval of an agreement to Leach, Tishman, Volscato, and Lample LLC to provide professional legal services to assist with the environmental issues as needed for the Department of Transportation for the period December 1st, 2023 through November 30th, 2025 for an agreement total not to exceed $80,000, appointed as special state's attorney by the DuPage County State's Attorney pursuant to DuPage County Procurement Ordinance 2356.
Motion by member Ozak, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Ozak.
Thank you. I move for approval of item DTP 0123, recommendation for the approval of a contract to K-Tech Specialty Coatings Incorporated to furnish and deliver de-icing liquids as needed for the Department of Transportation for the period November 1st, 2023 through October 31st, 2025 for a contract total not to exceed $215,000, exempt from bidding, not suitable for competitive bids, sole source, proprietary.
Motion by member Ozak, second by member Yu. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Ozak.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTR 008523, intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and the City of Darien for improvements on Lamont Road from 83rd Street to 87th Street and on 87th Street from Havens Drive to Lamont Road to establish the jurisdictional maintenance and energy responsibilities and costs with respect to the traffic signals and street lighting improvements.
Motion by member Ozak, second by member Desart. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Ozak.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, we move on to finance resolutions, and I'll call on member Zay this morning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to combine items 8A, B, and C. These are all acceptance and appropriations.
The motion by member Zay, second by member Tornatori, to combine items A, B, and C. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move on FIR 22923, acceptance appropriation of the Illinois Home Weatherization Assistance Program Grant Intergovernmental Agreement 22402028 on the amount of $595,551. Move on FIR 230-23, acceptance appropriation additional funding to LIHEAP Program Intergovernmental Agreement 2327-028, the amount of $1,118,000 to the amount of $1,949,787, an increase of $831,787. And I move on FIR 23123, acceptance of appropriation of the Help America Vote Act polling place accessibility grant on the amount of $654,661.
Motion by member Zay, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion on any of these items? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member
Madam
Zay.
Chair, I move on FIR 221-23, renewal of group insurance programs.
Motion by member Zay, second by member LaPlante. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 227-23, additional appropriation for the public defender, the amount of $33,000.
I'm sorry, who made the second? Member Schwartzy. Motion by member Zay, second by member Schwartzy. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 228-23, recommendation for approval to change the annual compensation for members of the Sheriff's Merit Commission.
Motion by member Zay, second by member Schwartzy. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Members A.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 232-23, appointment of county engineer.
Motion by members A, second by member Ozag. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Members A.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to waive the first reading of FIR 234-23, recommendation for approval of county board rules change, order of agenda.
I have a motion to waive first reading by members A, second by member U. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Members A.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 234-23, recommendation for approval of the county board rules change, order of agenda.
Motion by members A, second by member Guston. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Members A.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 225-23, approval of a grant agreement between the county of DuPage and the community house for the use of ARPA funds for services provided in the Willowbrook corner area in the amount of $277,357.
Motion by members A, second by member Augustin. Any discussion? Member Evans?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to read a statement by member Carrie Galassi, who is also in District 3 along with. Okay. Member Krajewski's not here, so I wanted to read it. As a board member representing District 3, I support funding both the community house and the YWCA to support the constituents in the southeast corner of our district. I'm also requesting my fellow board members to do the same. It is imperative we support these families. And I, as a District 3 member, I echo her sentiments. Thank you.
Thank you, member Evans. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Members A.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 226-23, approval of a grant agreement between the county of DuPage and the YWCA Metropolitan Chicago to use ARPA funds to provide services in the Willowbrook corner area, the amount of $556,684,000.
Motion by members A, second by member U. Any discussion? Member Eckhoff.
I had an opportunity yesterday to review this with Peggy McGuire of the Y, along with Mary and Nick of our staff for about an hour. And because my concern was that this is a lot of money over a 3-year period, and I didn't see a lot of impact being brought to the community. But I realized that something's got to be done, and we got to start somewhere. So I'm going to support this, but what I'm hoping is that over the next year, we can find more ways to impact more families. And I'm, obviously through the Y or through any other service organization to try and get multiple families involved in the type of counseling and work training or whatever else that needs to be done to bring them up to speed, because there's about 750, 800 families down there. And the second proposal that I got, second letter I got from the Y said the intensive training is really only going to hit about 11 to 15 families. And I know they're going to be doing monthly events that they're going to assist multiple families, maybe with 500 people being present at that. I'm just hoping that after a year, we can find ways to help more families.
Thank you very much for your comments. Member Eckhoff, appreciate that. And I think we probably all share your sentiments. So thank you very much. Any other discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. We move on to informational, and I'll call on members A.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the receive and place on file A, payment of claims, and B, grant proposal notifications.
I have a motion by members A and a second by member Cahill to receive and place on file items A and B under informational. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. We move on. Thank you, members A. We move on to old business, and under old business, we have our 2024 budget discussion. Do we have any comments or questions regarding the proposed budget? Okay, seeing none. Any other items under old business? Member Cahill?
I just wanted to go through the timeline with the budget in terms of comments, discussion, approval, so forth. Can you go through that with us?
Yeah, let me get my budget calendar out. Have it right here. Today really is the day to really discuss this on the board floor. I would, but let me get it right here. Yeah. So we have Yep, thank you. So September 26th is when the chairwoman proposed her budget. So September 26th or October 24th is when the finance committee will review information on the proposed budget and capital improvement plans. And public input, public comment will be also accepted during this time. On October 24th, we passed the budget out of finance committee. October 24th through November 28th, the proposed final budget posted on the county website at least 15 days prior to the passage on or before November 3rd. Truth and taxation hearing if required. Public meeting is held on proposed final budget and finance committee and county board. The county board approves the annual budget on November 30th. So that helps you out at all. So we do have the month to discuss and send in questions. Member Guston?
Yeah, thank you very much for all of that information. Does the board do kind of a workshop at all and a public workshop for open discussion on items?
We
that are
went
within the
through
budget?
the budget, in our committee meetings, and then we had the chairwoman give her presentation. This year, we're not doing any major budget workshop. Last year we did one before, like in July, we did a pre-budget workshop. But this year, the way things worked out, it just didn't work out. But you're free to ask, like any questions during this meeting or send in comments or our next meeting in October as well.
And I guess the question for that, the reason for that is we did get some public comment that came in for our next meeting or for our county board meeting from residents asking if there is an opportunity to look at reducing the real estate taxes. And that was in the public comments for the next meeting, but I just didn't know if there was an opportunity for the public to.
Yeah.
So,
ahead.
and as we move forward, this is one opportunity on finance. The real opportunity happens at the next finance meeting because all the resolutions related to the budget will be on the next finance meeting. Obviously any discussion, changes can be done at that finance meeting, and that's October 24th. Once it passes out October 24th, then there are two opportunities theoretically at board then. In addition, the first meeting in November, there can be discussion. And then once again, we take all the resolutions through again on, it's actually November 28th, I think, is the second meeting in November. That's when you as a board will approve the total budget. So there are basically 4 different spots here where you as a board can discuss, change, modify, and then just depends on the first 2 are here in finance, the second 2 are in county board.
And I anticipate then that the public can weigh in on.
Public
any of
can
these
weigh in
elements.
every single meeting and they can come here, talk about it, submit the written comment, and then you as a board can weigh that.
Additionally, there is room on our website for residents to type in their comments so they can review it online and type in comments 24/7.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Guston. Member Cahill and then Member Zay.
So just one comment about the surplus. When I looked at the surplus of 13 million and where it's going, my question was, why can't we put 10% of that away? Why a small amount like $500,000? I really think that, 10% to save for the future, because we know that things may change.
And the surplus discussion, so everybody knows, we will be having, Jeff and I will lead the discussion, the first meeting in November in finance committee meeting. And we will be presenting on the surplus, the remaining ARPA money and ARPA interest. And we will present options for, or our recommendation. And at that point, you as a board can make whatever decisions you'd like for modifying. So that time would be the first meeting in November. We'll have that presentation.
Yeah, and if I just want to jump in there too. Our reserves are quite large right now, and we don't want to put too much money, we don't want to have so much money in reserves that, people are saying, why aren't you spending our money? So it becomes an issue when you have over 50% of your budget, in reserve. that could become an issue with the public as well. So we have done a very good job at shoring up our reserves over the past few years. So thank you, Member Cahill. Member Zay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I agree with Member Cahill. You know, last year I made the motion to abate $5 million back on property tax. Again, we have a large surplus. You give government money, they're going to spend it. My problem is that we've had a large amount of federal money over the last several years, and we haven't done anything to pay down our debt, pay down our pension debt, pay down our bonding debt. I mean, again, I'm afraid when this ARPA money, federal money runs out, what do we do at this point? Where are we going to be? I mean, we talk about a lot of our people we have a lot of issues here with people being hungry in DuPage County, no, but what are we doing long-term to take care of that? So when that money runs out in a year or two, are people going to still be standing there and we don't have the money then at that point to do it? So we need to think about long-term solutions, again, helping the people that need it. And again, we just seem to get the surplus money and spend it. We've been building a lot here, but again, we got to remember, we're building more buildings, we're doing everything else. That does cost money.
It does.
It costs money to heat it. It costs money to do a lot of repairs in the future. So again, I think we need to look at more debt reduction, more pension reduction. Nick and I have talked about our retention that's up there for years. That's going to cost us more money as we go down the line. So I think there needs to be a little bit of discussion on that about using some of that money to pay down our future debt.
Thank you, Member Zay. And if I'm correct, I think we paid down most of the debt that we can, if I'm not correct, and as far as our outstanding bonds. And go ahead, Jeff, if you want to.
Yes, last year we actually paid off two general obligation bonds. We still have two outstanding. One is called a courthouse bond. I don't think that retires until maybe 2035. And the principal outstanding is about 18 million. And we have a 2010 bond issue, which is Build America bonds. The principal outstanding is about 65 million on that. You know, that's the type of bond that was backloaded when we first started. So we're just starting now to pay a lot of the principal down on that bond. But those are really two of our outstanding bond issues. And then as a couple members mentioned, retention. Employee retention is a big expense in our budget. Anything we can do to pay that down would be very proactive, and it could save a lot of money in future budgets. So as Nick said, we're going to have a lot of options with surplus discussion. And, you know, the key to reserves always is measuring that percentage that is put away or measured against our operating expenses. Right now, we're about 43% of our operating expenses. We have 103 million in reserves, and our 2024 proposed budget is 241 million. So, you know, there's a lot of options for the board to consider on how to use this money going into the future.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, I have Member Guston, Member Ozog, and then Member Eckhoff. So Member Guston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I do agree with Member Zay. I think there needs to be a future plan in place. I'm wondering if we could initiate some financial principles, maybe, you know, 25% reduction in debt, 25% reserves. And then potentially, you know, excluding the ARPA, because we know that that's not going to be there forever. And then what that looks like moving forward when you don't have it. Because we're going to have a health department that's going to have operation expenses, and how are those going to be absorbed and all of that kind of stuff. So a future picture, I think, would be helpful. And maybe some financial principles that the board can talk about. Hey, this is where we want our debt to be at this percentage. This is where we want our reserves to be at this percentage, and give the option to the board itself.
Thank you, Member Guston. Member Ozog.
Could I just?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Real quick, that we have financial policies in place that addresses all of that. It's in our budget document. Our general fund reserves are 25%. The requirement, and we continue to meet that and have for quite a long time.
Is that a requirement by the board, or is that
Yeah,
a number that?
Yeah, those were
okay, so
actually
that has
passed at the beginning of
decided
the
in the
budget process,
past?
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All about that. I would like to add one thing. So to And we will, on the first meeting in November, we'll go through that. And what we can do is we can give you a overview of all of our debt, which is very low. Some of the debt is set so that you cannot prepay it. So we will give the debt. To Member Zay's point, we are looking very closely with that surplus about maybe paying off and fully funding some of our accrued benefits that we have in place. So we are looking at that, and we are trying to figure out how to fully fund that, to take that debt obligation off the books for future years to help 25, 26, and 27. So we are looking very closely at that, and we have that.
And when we look at affordable housing components, one component is the real estate taxes. So if there's some way to provide relief to the residents also, or the taxpayers, that might be helpful.
Regarding the real estate tax, we have not raised our levy in so many years, and we did the $5 million abatement. The thing is, if we lose, when the ARPA money goes away, and if we reduce the taxes, we don't have a way to really increase property tax, if any. I mean, it would go up such a small amount that it wouldn't make any huge significance. So as far as reducing property tax at this time, I don't know if that would be a fiscally responsible thing to do. Maybe Jeff, you might be able to weigh in on that a little bit.
Well, we are not proposing a CPI increase, and we haven't had a CPI increase to our levy for at least over a decade.
Yeah.
From the numbers that we publish in our budget book. For the last 3 years, we have captured the increase in EAV. But at the same time, our rate has still gone down. So, I think our proposed levy, the rate is actually going to be less than what it was in 2019.
And I know how the rate plays, especially with new construction. So there's some absorption there that affects the rate also. So I'm just, it's still dollars to dollars is what I look at. So thank you.
Thank you. So I have Member Ozog, Member Eckhoff, Member Cahill, and Member Dysart. So Member Ozog?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Member Cahill, Zay, and Dustin. But I do want to point out that a lot of what we've done with the ARPA money, especially capital expenses, is replacement of items that are 40 years old. And this is really typical in the public sector, where we need to be stewards of our physical plant so we can continue to operate. And I often think about the fact that over 35 years ago, I was the project manager to put all the signs on all the stations for Metra. Those signs are still up and in varying degrees of wear, but it's still, you need to build for the future. And we are often at a point with the structure that we deal, or the structures that we deal with, where we are looking at 40 years and they've been taken to their very ultimate end. And so that's a lot of what we've been doing. So it's been a very positive use.
A good example of that is one of the projects that's being proposed by the chair in our budget, the replacement of the 421 HVAC system. It's original to the building here. And the new system will be more energy efficient. It will be higher quality. So there is new building as well that we've done as part of ARPA and CARES Act. Obviously, the expansion on judicial animal services.
The care center.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So just something to consider.
Yes, thank you, Member Ozog.
Thank you.
Member Eckhoff?
Well, we've talked about this a couple of times in the past, but not to surprise anyone, but the cost of our sheriff's department is going to, I think, be going way up, because I think it's going to cost a lot more to get people to become deputy sheriffs, just like it's costing more to get assistant state's attorneys and assistant public defenders. So what I had heard was that the Chicago Police Department, when they started to move out of there, were coming out here, but I think that is over, and we're going to have to budget a lot more to get people to come on for public safety. And that's something we should try and figure out how we're going to deal with in a year or two. Put the money aside, because it's going to be a lot more expensive because of the good old Safety Act.
Thank you, Member Eckhoff. Member Cahill?
I just wanted to follow up with what Nick said, and I totally agree with that we need to use some of the surplus, or I would support using some of the surplus to pay down accrued benefits. That is a big liability, and it just keeps getting bigger. And it would save us so much money if we would pay down some of this accrued benefits now rather than wait in the future. And so I would really support that. So if we could consider that.
And not only will it obviously save money now, but the pressure it takes off future budget years is pretty substantial. So that's a big component that you'll see on the first meeting in November.
Thank you, Member Cahill. Member Dessert?
Thank you. I think one of the things DuPage County needs to do is to market our good news. One of the public comments this week chastised the board for increasing taxes and that just didn't happen. What Jeff said earlier about no CPI increase in the last decade and the rates stagnant for years. I think we need to put out there to our public that we're not increasing property taxes. And in fact, when you look at your tax bill, county taxes are 2 or 3%, very, very low. The majority of taxes obviously go to the school districts. And so I think we need to market our good news and that we are very lean at the county and fiscally conservative at the county, and we need to get that out. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Dessert. Member you?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to echo what Member Dessert just stated, that I think it's a great idea to really provide more information to the public with regard to how fiscally responsible we are at the county. And thank you so much to finance, everybody on staff. I just want to be very clear that, it states in the proposed budget that a homeowner with a market value of approximately $350,000 can expect to pay about $185 to DuPage County in 2024. That's not a lot. And with regard to our surplus, our estimated fund balance is like 48%, over 40% of operating expenses. So our reserve is much higher than the 25% that is required. So I think that's amazing as well. I really do support this budget. Most of all, I'm most excited about the affordable housing of additional $2.5 million to make it to the 5 million affordable housing solution. So for all those reasons, I'm very excited about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Yu. Any other comments on the proposed budget? Okay. Yeah, no, I'm really proud of the way the board has been planning, especially how we've been taking pressure off future budgets with our prior year's budgeting. So I think you all did a great job. Everybody's doing a really good job. So any other items under old business this morning? Okay, any items under new business? Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Member Schwarze, second by Member Yu. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, see you guys at the next meeting.